Christ's 33 years on earth are compared symbolically with the 3,300-year history of the Armenian people. As Christ arose, so would arise the Armenian nation. This was the belief of the artist. The national revival continued in sculpture and architecture. During the early Middle Ages, thousands of churches were built in Armenia. As scholars and artists labored, the centuries slipped by. 600 years, twice the lifespan of most world empires. During this era, Armenia continued to fight in the cause of Christendom. In the 11th century, Ani, the shining capital of Armenia, was destroyed by the Seljuk Turks. A city of 1,001 churches was demolished by the conquerors. She stands today in immense solitude, with wounds and scars inflicted in the death agonies of her martyrdom. In empty sanctuaries echo the voices of the Armenian nobility who died in battle. As an ancient document proudly proclaims, "From this belief none can move us, neither angels nor men, neither fire nor sword. We should die as mortals, that we may accept our death as that of immortals." With the fall of Ani came an end to the independence of Greater Armenia. The onslaught of the Tartars toward Europe now passed through the Armenian plateau and divided the land. Armenians were driven southward, where they established the flourishing independent kingdom of Lesser Armenia, or Cilician Armenia, on the shores of the Mediterranean. The Armenians welcomed and aided the First Crusade by Godfrey de Bouillon, which arrived in Cilicia in 1097. Powerful Armenian kingdoms continued to enrich the culture of the people through constant association with Asia and Europe. On April 13th, 1375, after 300 years of constant warfare, the kingdom of Cilician Armenia fell to the Muslim forces. King Levon V, driven from his throne, went to Europe to plead the cause of his people. He died in Paris after many unsuccessful efforts to unite the English and the French against the common enemy in the East. Thus passed from existence the last Armenian kingdom, and the long night of oppression began under the Ottoman Turks. But the dream of an independent Armenia never died through the continual struggle for survival during the next 500 years. The Ottoman Empire sat upon the peaks of Armenia as a giant octopus, but creed, language, and the deathless will to live kept together the Armenian community. In springtime, the apricot trees flowered on remote hill slopes. In the fall, Armenian maidens gathered the fruit of the vine. A zest for life and happiness prevailed. Research centers, such as at Harvard and UCLA, enable us to probe with scholarship into the authentic records and manuscripts of the last era of Armenian history. The way to exterminate the memory of a race is to destroy its books. Books on Armenian history were prohibited by the sultans. For decades, living under persecution and oppression was the normal way of life. History reveals that as the Ottoman Empire declined, oppression of her Christian minorities became more severe. During the First World War, the American ambassador to Turkey, Henry Morgenthau, British jurist Lord Bryce, and historian Arnold J. Toynbee authenticated the final martyrdom of the Armenian people. The Turkish government decided to rid itself of the Armenians through planned extermination, through total genocide. The Ottoman government feared that the Western powers would in time force them to grant independence to the Armenians. Thus, Turkey would lose some of the most important parts of its empire. While the world's attention was diverted by the First World War, Turkish authorities felt they could act with greater boldness. There was a definite scheme. The plan of the massacres was deliberate extermination. Talat Pasha, the Minister of Interior, Enver Pasha, Minister of War, and Cemal Bey issued the secret orders for atrocities which read, "Government has decided to destroy completely all the Armenians living in Turkey. All Armenians from 5 years of age upward are to be taken out of the towns and slaughtered." All was done by the will of the government. Carefully, premeditated, and systematically carried out, unsuspected by the Armenians. Suddenly, during the night of April 24th, 1915, the Armenian intellectuals, professors, writers, doctors, business leaders, and clergy were taken away for execution. The Armenians in the army were killed at the same time. Once peaceful and prosperous Armenian towns were pillaged, plundered, and depopulated. The Turkish